this guy, I will share a little bit about who he is, and he will also touch base about what he do and all that. So this is Dr. L, the speaker here, and when I get connected with him or someone send him my way, I was on his webpage and really reading about this role model, role model for kids and also for parents was something that really touched my heart, because I have a huge belief that we get to really take care of the girls, the young girls, and really heal them so they can come to a place where they own themselves, create a strong foundation so they can get birth from a healing standpoint. And when I saw Dr. L's work, I'm really working with parents and also children and people. I really have a beautiful community that will touch my heart, and it's so needed in these times all over the globe for us to get together and really heal the young girls before they're getting mother, so that we can end the cycle of abuse or self-harm or getting birth to kids from our past. Because if we have not healed our childhood, we will be adult child and teach our kids unhealthy habits or mindsets, and maybe the kid will grow up and not believing themselves. I was one of them, so I talk from my own case. So Dr. L, please, Leah, and welcome, my friends. Share a little bit about who you are, besides you are a missing role model for parents and people that come to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And hello and welcome, everybody. I am a clinical neuroscientist by trade. I have been in the online world for about a little bit over 10 years now. And initially, I started to want to do telemedicine. Of course, it was way ahead of its time. Everybody said, you can't do telemedicine. And then COVID happened, and then here we are. And everybody kind of rushed, and we are all online. That being said, though, that kind of is a testament to how my brain works. I do have ADHD. I grew up with it. And growing up, one of the things that people always told me is that you're always ahead of your time, but your brain is so busy. And this became the internal dialogue, the narrative that I used to have. And that internal dialogue made me realize that, I doubted my abilities. A lot of times they would say, you never finish what you started. So all of this stuff became my narrative and became part of my identity. So in many cases, I just basically stopped in many cases trying for new things, just simply because I would tell myself, I'm not going to finish this while starting, basically, right? And that internal dialogue that your brain is too busy and you need to calm your brain down is so that you can kind of slow down to the pace of the world, is the constant message that I kept telling myself and the world kept telling me. So that's a little bit about my background. Now, currently though, not only am I a speaker entrepreneur, I still have my license, although I don't practice, but I also work with a Global Alliance Office on Drugs and Crime at the United Nations within a consultative status. We also have a family advocacy group, and of course, I'm a father and a primary caretaker of two amazing children as well. So somehow I am doing all of these things, and it doesn't seem to be getting in the way of me moving forward. So that's where I am today, and that's what I wanted to share with you guys as far as what we can do to make that transformation from, that internal dialogue to you being fulfilled and living a fulfilled life.
Oh, love that. I love also the point you share about like this. Some people say you have PTSD. To me, no, HTSD. The thing you was talking about, I was like, oh, are you kidding me? And I love the point you share about to be vulnerable around this. Like, as I get in my mind, you will not start something because you will not finish it. And there's something that I hear from a lot of people. They are afraid to start something, and because they have a mindset about, will I finish it because I don't have proof on it? Just like me, it was a hot game for me in the past to really like get up the horse again and just keep going to the point where I really create the skills so that I'm doing less, as you will talk about. So guys, the topic Dr. L and I will talk about is 2 secrets to get more done by doing less. So share a little bit about this, like how do we shift our mindset from, let's say, why should I start when I will not finish it? That is one of the mindsets some people can have with really starting something new to create a dream life.
So the transformation, the change came one day when somebody told me, well, I don't agree with what you tell me about yourself, that you don't stop. And I said, how so? And they said, well, you did get your, not only did you get your doctorate, but you also went and got your postdoctorate. So obviously you finished that. And I'm like, yeah, but, and then they're like, well, you also got your clinic and it was award winning and you were voted. And I'm like, yeah. But a couple of these conversations made me realize maybe that narrative was not entirely true. And I started questioning all of those things basically in that process of rediscovering if that's not who I am, then who really am I? And one of the things that I realized was that it was the relationship, knowing that person that started this journey. So you would ask yourself, what is the value of that relationship compared to your business, compared to all the other stuff that we chase after all day long, right? So our goal is going to be, and the secret sauce, the secret ingredients to this sauce is relationships. So for many of us, especially if you're a perfectionist, you know, I can do it better than anybody else. And if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. And the list kind of goes on and on. Well, if you keep that mentality, you will be the best kept secret in whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And there is this pain associated with that being best kept secret because we all strive to be seen, to be heard, and that kind of brings us fulfillment, to be acknowledged for things that we have accomplished and things that we have been passionate about. So if you don't get seen as such, then you feel like your life was not fully manifested, basically. We don't have that feeling of fulfillment. And that comes through those connections, making those relationships work, right? So the first thing we need to do is figure out and redefine what we consider wealth. Because for most people, especially in the industrialized world, when it comes to wealth, the first thing that comes to mind is what? Assets, accumulation, finances, numbers. That's what comes to people's minds. And then there are some people that want to be alternative to that, and they say, well, no, your health is your biggest wealth. And while I agree with that, I feel like that kind of puts you in a situation where you're like, well, um, why not have your health and your wealth? You don't have to choose one or the other. Or some other people say, well, I'd much rather be happy than to be wealthy. Money doesn't buy happiness. And again, it's the same mentality. Why not be wealthy and be happy? So we kind of double dip into all these buckets. So I wanted to kind of clean the slate, realize that you should have your health, you should have your happiness. But when we talk specifically on wealth, there are 4 things that actually constitute your wealth. And for most people, they trade the most valuable ones to attain the least valuable ones. So they trade their time, they trade their connections. How many people have said, you know what, I can't come to this party because I got an exam tomorrow, or I got to stay late at work and I can't make it to the kids' practice recital or whatever it is, right? So you're trading in your connections, you're trading in your time to get financial accumulation or to learn more stuff, right? So for most people, the wealth is 4 categories: is what you know, is who you know, is your accumulation of assets and wealth and numbers and finances, and then there's your time. Most people trade their time and who they know for what they know, like learning facts and skills and finances. The wealthy, though, do just the opposite. They spend their time to connect to people so that it in turn frees up their time gets them more access to specialists that actually know stuff more than you could learn in a lifetime, and at the same time have access to people who hold resources like lenders and creative venture capitalists and so on and so forth. Right? So if you think of it that way, and you think that also within your sphere, you also have to nurture relationships and keep growing them, you realize that relationships is actually the most important facet of your wealth. Through that, you can ensure your health, you can ensure your happiness, and you can ensure your finances, your freedom of time, and so on and so forth. So when you feel overwhelmed or you feel like you don't know enough and you have to kind of study something to figure it out, that's not a problem of knowledge or time. Like, that's a problem of not having enough connections. And if you can
Oh my God.
rethink things that way, then it becomes different as far as how you approach things.
Oh my God. That's just like bone. Oh my God. I feel someone punched me in the stomach right there. I was like, oh, I could feel that one.
So the reason I say this is because that journey that I took allowed me to not only connect externally to people who were specialists that could serve families bigger than I could with all my postdoctorate and stuff. I now have 750 different experts serving families. That's something that the knowledge base, time, project wise, resources, I would have never been able to have if I had done that all by myself, or it
Oh
would have taken
wow.
me a lifetime to do that, right? And I've only done that within the past few years, basically, right? So connecting to those skill sets, to those people, has helped me buy time and also my freedom, but at the same time get more done. Now, the other part is that I was told that I need to slow down my thinking. And when I realized that if you have the right people, they can go ahead and get things done and step in where your weaknesses are, then you can focus on your strengths and what your skill set is and what you get paid for, and they can handle everything else. And through that process, I also built a team internally that allowed me to go ahead and think as fast as I can and let the world keep up with me instead of the other way around.
Oh my God, love it.
And that allows every individual to bring all the gifts and all the passions that they have to the world, live a fulfilled life, and get more done without doing a lot of it. So there you have it.
But 100%. And I really experience that when I do like tech stuff, because right now I get to find a VA, like virtual assistant, and I'm doing it by myself. So what you talk about, Dr. L, is like really what I experience for myself is taking the energy of what I'm good at, like the skills I'm good at. It is going to the thing that is draining and that is not my skill set, and I get to learn things instead of doing the thing that can move the needle faster. That's me doing things that's it is not my skills right now at this point.
Absolutely. So now I want to kind of make it a little more relevant to our audience
Yeah,
members, because
please do.
I talk to a lot of business people, but I also primarily serve families.
Yeah,
So as you were mentioning about the role model making,
yeah,
many times when, like all of us, when we're growing up, the first few years are spent on learning life skills, teaching you how to go ahead and take care of yourself or have good management of your time and resources and develop skill sets. So you take this class and that class and you go to school and you're developing your skill sets. But at no time are we, well, we do talk a little bit about it as the kids start learning social skills and going to the playground, but it doesn't end there. We need to have this system that allows us to scale our sociability. We are social creatures, and we need to be able to scale that up if we want to maximize humanity's potential. That's something that I'm very passionate about. So if we were to do the thing that actually makes us so successful on this planet, which is our ability to come collectively, past, present, and future, to create a set of rules or ideas and a system for us to develop a civilization that nurtures the future, honors the past, and so on and so forth, enables us to do what we need to do. Um, that's sociability. And that needs to be scaled up. So the people that you tend to see in society that are very successful have done a really good job on this. And that's why a lot of times you also see generationally they continue to do well. Because as the kids come up, as soon as they're capable, they're taught the art of connecting and the art of team building.
Yeah.
And it's great in sports and things like that, but it's important for us to be able to scale this because when you want to do more, when you want to achieve more, the remedy is not run faster. The remedy is I need to build a team, basically.
Yeah.
And for kids, that is an essential skill that needs to be built, and you need to role model that behavior for them. So in your day-to-day life, you got to ask yourself, am I meeting new people on a daily basis? And have I gone ahead and connected with the connections that I have on a regular basis to nurture those relationships? So there's the quantity and the quality aspect of the relationship, and both of them need to be regularly worked on. If you regularly go to the gym to work on your health, or on your diet, you should be regularly working on your relationships as well. For most people, their preferences and their lifestyle and everything kind of funnels things. So as they get older, they have fewer connections and they're more detached from the world at large. So eventually they become irrelevant and forgotten by the world. That's one of the big issues for geriatrics, basically. So if you want to avoid that, you need to build that system now and teach your kids through practicing it that it is okay to connect to people, that the world is not a scary place, that you need to constantly try to make positive interactions with the world around you. And then if you've made those connections, now you got to nurture them as well. It's not a one-time thing, right?
Oh,
So as you get older and your abilities become less, the circle around you can shield you from all the other stuff that can come with age and protect you from that and have you have the same quality of lifestyle.
hmm. It gives me another point of view. I hear a lot of this also from myself, also from my friends, that me and my friends or the people I meet is saying I have only few people, like few close friends. And I'm just wondering right now by what you're sharing, Dr. Ellen, around, is that because we choose few friends, or is because we are, what does it call, like limit or not limit, like really maybe like destroying our skills to build new connections? Like, are we taking ourselves out of the game from community by having the belief that few friends is the right way in life?
So I always go back. This is kind of my neurology geekiness kind of coming back in. It's actually related to how your brain was formed. So you have the introverts and the extroverts.
Yeah.
Introverts tend to have fewer friends but deeper relationships, so they focus on the quality.
Yeah.
Extroverts tend to have a lot of friends, but they're very superficial. They're not deep relationships. They know them, they know a little bit about each person, but they're not involved in intricate conversations with every single one of them. Regardless of whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, part of you being healthy is always seeking balance, always making sure that you nurture the other side as well. So being an introvert and loving those intimate relationships doesn't mean you shouldn't or you can't have lots of friends at the same time. And having lots of friends does not mean that you can't pick a couple of them and have really deep conversations with them either, right? So we need to keep focusing on nurturing the other side that doesn't come comfortably, basically, right? We teach our kids, get out of your comfort zone. Go ahead and do something that doesn't come naturally because nothing is natural. Everything comes through practice. And I'm the biggest introvert, but you will find out that I have good network, but I also have some really deep friends that I can have very intimate conversations for long periods of time. And eventually, all of us kind of will settle into one camp or the other. That's totally fine. So long as you know that just like working out, today is your cardio day and tomorrow is going to be your weight training day. You might not like weight training, but you got to do the weight training at least once a week. So that regimen has to be there for relationships as well.
That is so good. That is so good point. I'm just interesting, like with this like nurturing relationship, one of the thing I have really having a hot moment with in the past was really like, because everything is a choice, like choosing to trust, choosing to forgive, choosing to having the trust in this new being, like really like first time we met, like choosing to trust you with no like something that hold me back, has been a journey for me to come to the point to really trust every being I meet, to this a new being, is a new person, like get to know them, really like get them in my world as I get in their world. How can a person that disconnect themselves for creating relationship, how do they take the first step into really nurturing their relationships?
Great. That's a great question. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about next, because for many of us, we're like, okay, Dr. L, I'm on board with you. I want to make more connections, or I want to nurture my connections.
Yeah.
I want to get more done by doing less. Great.
Yeah.
But where's the training? Who has taught us this process? Have you seen somebody doing this? Like, for instance, when you talk about, like in the movies, when you see somebody who's really high up or important and they record him, they're walking down this hallway and there's like six other people behind them and they're writing notes as he's walking and talking and doing a million different things. Well, somehow you have to become that person, right? Where there's people around you that know what it is that you're asking for. So there is that part of about how you go ahead and ask, but then there's this other part of finding out the right team members that know and speak your language and can actually perform that. That process cannot be sped up. That process is something that comes with trial and error, or somebody who has access to connections. That's why a lot of wealthy people continue to generate wealth even if they lose their wealth, because the connections are there to restart the process, right? And the same thing goes with the movers and shakers and the influencers. They say, you know what, I'm done building this YouTube video. Now I am interested in creating this other product. And boom, it happens and it looks professional and great. It's not that they studied it and they did that, it's because they already had all the connections here. They just moved them over here, right? So we need to have a model. And I actually have a gift for the audience members that actually talks about this. This is more regarding virtual assistants. Now, you can also take the word virtual and change it to personal assistant, because when you have an assistant, they become an extension of you. Now, this hand is free to do other stuff, or a part of your brain is free to do other stuff. And that's what you want. You want to kind of look at them as extensions of yourself. And when you do this, you're going to find out that different people have different expertise and people really love doing what they're good at, right?
Yeah.
I hate doing analytical, detailed stuff. Now, I have been trained to do analytical stuff, but I can't do it for long-term sustained version. So it's best for me to delegate that to somebody. And the person who is really good at analytical stuff might not be interested in big picture stuff because it's too overwhelming for them. Because they like the details. They know they want to know all the details before they take action on something. And that person is great, although them and myself are not going to have a lot in common when we talk about things, because they come from the opposite end of the spectrum. There's going to be a lot of clashes. So we need to understand this, that the people that actually clash with you, they're an asset to you, because they're pointing out to parts of your life or your blind spots that you either are weak at or you never considered. So coming to the table, having that dialogue and seeing how you can mutually collaborate and benefit one another becomes great. So in the case of virtual assistants, it's the same thing. They have different sets of skills, and you need to kind of look for ones that you can communicate effectively with, but they also have a set of skills that will augment and complement your personality and what you're good at, basically. So our gift talks about the 10 tasks that you could give to a VA, and this is so that you can free up your time. By freeing up your time, it does two things. The first one is now you can actually do more, but more importantly, you can actually pursue your fulfillment. Because when you have time, you can figure out what it is that you really want to focus on. When you don't have time, you don't have that freedom. So a lot of times it's survival. I have to do whatever I have to do so I can make it to the next day. When you have free time, that's not an issue anymore. If you need money, you can devote your time to money. If you need happiness, you can do that. If you need family, you can focus on all of that. But you will have time to actually sit and think about what it is that your life is all about. And so if you ask me what is the value of having a virtual assistant, is immeasurable because it can bring you health, it can bring you fulfillment, and it can help you with the wealth accumulation
Oh
as
my
you
God.
described it.
100%. Oh my God. This gift is extraordinary and it is so needed because I hear this a lot of time, like, what do I get to ask a virtual assistant for? What can the virtual assistant do for me? And I experienced them being very confused about I need it to what. And this, I really get the experience about this can really serve you, the audience, to really get into like where in your life can you really choose this VA. And it was also like, what is the point? And if you need more support, or if you have some questions, you, the audience, please reach out to Dr. L and his team. All his information, the link is in the chat, as all his information will also be in the email later, where you can get connected with him to ask deeper questions if you have some questions, or definitely click on the free gift. I will 100% click on that one. It's like, oh, so needed.
Absolutely, absolutely. You guys all deserve your health, your happiness, your fulfillment, and your wealth. You shouldn't have to pick between one and the other. And it starts with making connections and then nurturing.
Oh my God. Amen for that. And Dr. L, thank you so much for your time, for who you are in this world, and for our connection. I cannot wait to see what we'll create together and are here to support each other for. So thank you so much for you and your time and what you're doing in this world.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you. Bye, my friend.